Hello everyone, welcome to Zion Trader. So today we're going to be analyzing GBPAUD, right? So before we take a look at the technical perspective, let's take a look at the fundamental perspective, right? So as you can see right here, there's a cut on GBP interest rate from 4.5% to 4.2%. What this actually means is actually signals dovish for GBP, right? So this was released during the last meeting held by BOE, which is Bank of England, on May 8th, right? So you can check more details right here on Reuters. So, and for GBP CPI, it's actually scheduled to hold on May. So we're actually hoping that it's going to be positive, and if it comes out very positive, then it's actually going to be a good one, right, for GBP USD. So for GBP and GBP related peers. Right, for AUD actually AUD CPI came out positive, right, as of April. When it was released April 30th, it came out positive. And what that is actually positive for AUD, right, because there is actually, whenever, I don't want to go into details, but then it is expectation for inflation, right, inflation expectations and all of that, and because of that, they may want to increase interest rates, right? However, they've actually still maintained their interest rate as of they've maintained their interest rate, which is 4.35%, but and the tone is cautiously dovish as of the moment, right? So, and also there's actually a trade tension in China, and it's actually affecting Australia, right? So, and because of that, most investors, because of the uncertainties, most investors, they would love to remove their money from risk assets like AUD, and then invest on like safe haven assets, more or like, let's say, GBP. It's actually quite safer than AUD, right? USD, gold, and the likes, right? So knowing this, having this at the back of our mind, we'll look at GBP. GBP is actually more positive than AUD from what we've seen. Although the fact that CPI came out positive for AUD is actually a good one, a heads up for AUD actually. But then looking at the trade tensions and all of that, we'll put all of that into consideration. What are the expectations of investors? Investors who want to take out their funds and invest it into a better stable economy that are a bit more stable, because currently, because of uncertainties, economic uncertainties, investors will want to take away their funds from AUD's economy, right? So let's take a look at the technical perspective. So actually, fundamentally, both of them I would say is actually even, right? So, however, I'm more positive on GBP than that of AUD, right? Because of the trade tension. As if not for the trade tensions and all of that, I would be positive on AUD rather than GBP, right? So, looking at technical approach, we have actually been bullish for a very long time. We've been bullish for a very long time, right? So what this means is we could actually still continue bullish, right? So that's just the truth. But because of the rate cut, right? Because of the rate cut, there has been a like um, GBP has been weak, right? So because of GBP's weakness, AUD has actually gained strength, and coupled with the fact that AUD's CPI came out positive, it actually gave AUD much more strength, right? So, but then if we look at the weekly time frame right here, we can see we are all positive. So why do we look at taking trade from on positioning ourselves, our point of interest on the weekly time frame? So here on the weekly time frame, this is where we love to position ourselves, and then wait for price to come here, and then we take buys, right? But as it doesn't mean that we have to wait this long for price to come to this point. We can actually still scale down to, let's say, the daily time frame, and still look for uh good potential zones where we can take entries from. All right, so on the daily time frame, we have a zone right here. So knowing that GBPAUD is still very, very bullish, we'll just try to scale down to lower time frames and see if we can get trades or setups on lower time frames, right? So scale it down to the 4 hour time frame, we can see a potential setup right here. Actually, this setup, I took this setup right previously, but then it closed on break even, right? So at this point, I took a trade right here. So when price got to this point, this retracement had already broken even on the trade, so it took me out on break even before it continued going higher, right? I did not take re-entries, right? So that's pretty much it on the 4 hour time frame. We see bullish trade, Although this zone where we are is actually a key level that could send price downward. However, because we are still bullish on the higher time frame, we know that this zone is a zone that potentially will be broken in no time, right? It's going to be broken in no time, right? So we mark this out as our draw on liquidity, right? So we mark them out as our draw on liquidity, right? So mark them out there and here. So now what do we do? Now that we've scaled down to 4 hour time frame and we know that 4 hour time frame is bullish, we also scale down to the hourly time frame and try to get set up on the hourly time frame. All right, so I tried to get a setup. There is no setup on the hourly time frame. It does not meet my criteria. So I'm not looking at any setup right now. I'm just watching out and I will allow this to play out, right? So if you get any setup, you can just join the buys and see how it plays out, right? So however, beware of this zone because we could see a deep retracement, right, to this very point before a buy continuation. And this is where when this happens and we get a break, another break, right, we get something like this. Let's say we have a deep retracement and then a break, then that's when I'm going to be positioning myself, right, for GBPAUD, right? So this, if I get something like this, a pattern like this, like we get a sell and then price now eventually comes and break this high and break this high here and then retraces downward to my POI, then I will be taking JPAUD. But for now, I will just stay away from the market and allow the market do its thing, right? So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to this channel. God bless you.